Stuart, could you talk about transcendence?
About who?
Transcendence.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, it's a big subject, transcendence. But, look, it goes from very minor states of your inner being and condition to ultimately to a state of enlightenment. But it just simply means going above, getting free of whatever karma you're living with, whatever obstructions you're living with, transcending them, building a system inside that is strong enough to do that. And it's really at the essence of what goes on in these meditation classes, because we have to connect with higher energy in the universe in order to grow spiritually, which means we have to transcend ourselves. We have to go above ourselves. No matter how gifted we are and how brilliant we are and how saintly we are, we have to go above ourselves. Because what keeps us from truly connecting with God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is the image that we have of who and what we are. And we need to learn to transcend it. We need to learn to get free of ourselves. And you do that by building a chakra system inside that is strong enough inside you to open and receive, the energy of God, spirit, higher energy, transcendental energy. That energy nurtures you inside and continues to build a system in you that enables you to ultimately attain a state of enlightenment. If we don't do that kind of inner work, you understand, we are always stuck in a muddle of images of who we think we are and what we are and our self-importance, et cetera, et cetera. And all of that is just transient instead of connecting with an energy that is transcendental, that is infinite, that is without limitation, that is the source of all creativity and everything that is created in the universe. And we have the power inside us to connect with that kind of energy. And again, I get back to it over and over again. It's training, it's doing the work, it's going deeper every time you sit down to work on yourself. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what these classes are for. These classes are not about Stuart sitting in front of 35 people, and impressing you with my knowledge and wisdom. I mean, that's all bullshit, They're about the transmission of Shakti and energy that helps each and every person that attends them to open to a transcendental level of consciousness, which is literally opening to the energy of God, spirit, higher energy in the universe. And when we open to that energy, we draw it down into our system and it works on us. You understand? It really builds us inside. It opens us. It breaks down the blocks and the resistances. And it's literally a dialogue and an agreement each human being makes with higher energy in the universe. Transcendental energy is some kind of esoteric, image, but it's really not. It's fuel. Cars need gasoline. Refrigerators need electricity. People need Shakti. People need higher energy. Tragedy is most people are completely cut off from it. So they live according to the dictates of their mind, their emotions, neurosis, their anxiety, their fears, their depression, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we need fuel. Our fuel is Shakti. Our fuel is higher energy. And in order to connect with that energy, we have to build a system that can transcend all the blocks that keep us from connecting with it. I hope that's clear because this is really important. I mean, when your car runs low on gasoline, you know to go to the gas station. You got to give it fuel. When we run low on Shakti and energy, you know, we begin to work on nervous tension. And that doesn't really help us. Just creates a lot of problems for us. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart,
Yes?
when people join in prayer for a shift or a healing, can that facilitate a shift in consciousness?
I hope so, Larry. I don't know. You know, I mean, I hope so. Why else would people do it? You know, I mean, people pray in most cases because they're unhappy, they're lamenting, they're asking for help, you know, to overcome difficult situations. They want to get married, they want to make money. They pray for all kinds of reasons. And I would hope that at the essence and the foundation of that prayer, there's a need for a spiritual life. And if the need is real for a spiritual life, it will help them to grow and get closer to God. Yes, I'm not against prayer. I'm not against anything that helps a human being to work and grow. And
Thank you.
you're welcome. I mean, prayer is not a, you know, it's a thing that can work if people use it consciously. I don't know if it is used consciously. You know, I mean, I'm not a big follower of religion. Because at one point in my life, I got to a place where I realized everything is God. Everything is God. And I don't need to have religions directing my life and telling me what to eat and what to do and clothing to wear and this and that and the other, you know? Because everything is a manifestation of God. We live in a world of spirit, and spirit is a manifestation of God. We live in a world where everything created around us is created by higher energy in the universe. So that makes everything in the world sacred. And you know, most religions, you know, look, when I lived in Woodstock, I met a whole group of people up there that were kind of not ultra Orthodox Jewish people, but religious Jewish people. They found out what I did, and I had students all over the world, and they began to send rabbis to convert me. You know, they came to my house and they were trying to convert me. And I said, look, what are you trying to do? You know, I'm not here to be converted. I thought basically we were friends, you know? So I that kind of stuff I don't really take to, you know? And yet it's not my problem. If that's how they function and what they want to do, you know, they'll find people to do it too. And, you know, and I'll never forget, they were sending rabbis to my house to convert me back, to bring me back into the fold. And I say, look, But if prayer works and it's done with purity and it's done with real, sincere need to have a spiritual life, I mean, it can be included in this meditation that we do. Why not? You know, you can have prayers that you say silently inside yourself, asking God for help to open and surrender. And basically what Rudy told us, open, surrender, and grow spirit is like a prayer. You know, so there's no reason that these things have to be separate and they have to be in particular religions or. I mean, I got some of the greatest spiritual teachings in my life by doing Rudy's meditation practice with Rinpoches and with, you know, holy men in India, and remarkable things came. They had no idea what I was doing, but they knew it was something profound. And it just grew out of them these amazing teachings. And they were Hindus, they were Buddhists, they were, you know, all kinds of people, you know, and it didn't matter to me. I knew that if I did my inner work and they were sincere about their spiritual practice, we would connect and something would flow between us. Something important would flow between us. So, you know, if you have prayers that work for you, you could use them in this meditation. I'm not adverse to that. I mean, you know, whatever helps you, you know, to grow, you have 100% of my support. But don't substitute them for the meditation. Just make it part of your inner work. Does anyone else have a question I would like to ask?
Stuart,
Yes, Brad.
is there or have you used contemplation as useful in this meditation?
Well, I mean, if you're going to sit there and think about God, you know, you're going to make yourself crazy. Contemplating higher energy, contemplating spirit, contemplating, you know, politics, contemplate all the different, you know, things that go on in the world. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to take anybody very far. The whole purpose of this meditation is learning to use your mind, the energy of the mind, as a surgical instrument that can open the very core of your being. I mean, that's really the purpose of this. And sitting around and, I mean, if by contemplation you mean thinking about things and analyzing things, I don't know, Brad, to me, that doesn't, it never works for me. I mean that. I mean, I don't get anywhere. I mean, I'm trying to figure out the world, analyzing the world, contemplating things, and it's too complex. Who the hell knows what goes on here? But taking it in as energy, using the mind to open, I get real answers from the universe. I get answers from, I mean, these answers are extraordinary that come. And they're never things I think about, they're things I experience. And they become living experience, not things I analyze and think of, because that involves a lot of ego and your opinion and somebody else's opinion. And, you know, I don't know. I'm not much in favor of that, but I mean, if it works for you, then do it. I'm not here to tell you what works for you and doesn't work for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I think a spiritual life has to be living experience. If it's not living experience, you know, it's not a spiritual life. It has to be brought down and made practical in one's day-to-day life. It has to be brought down because we have built a system inside that not only enables us to connect with spirit, but to use it in our day-to-day life. So that that energy becomes experiential, it becomes a living reality, it becomes sacred. And, you know, I think to me, this is the key. It's always been the key in my life. Does anyone else have a question I would like?
Hi, Stuart. I was listening to someone yesterday speak about how creation comes from sound. And they spoke about how perhaps the Big Bang was actually a roar. And they said in India, Rudra means the one who roars. And then it made me wonder about Rudy's name, Rudrananda. Does that have any correlation? Could you talk about that, Rudy's name?
Rudy could roar. Rudy was a very charismatic energy who kind of roared at life, but he did it with love and he did it with compassion. He did it with understanding, patience. He did it with service to God. He did it with, you know, look, yes, you know, look, the Om sound is the sound of creative energy in the universe. The Om sound is God's wisdom coming to us in the form of the Om sound. If we open, you know, inside and allow that sound to penetrate deep into the chakra system, it creates, you know, an amazing capacity to surrender to higher energy in the universe, to live in the world, to be free of ourselves, to, you know, and all the Om sound is it's God's wisdom. And it also is the sound that is creating everything in the universe. And it can be a roar, it could be a whisper, it could be many, many things. And if we allow it to truly enter and go deep into our chakra system, it will create us, children of God, people living with transcendental consciousness, if we go back to an earlier question, people living in the world and knowing what's real, what's an illusion, what, you know. I don't know, I never knew that Rudra meant raw. I always knew Rudra was the earliest form of Shiva. You know, that much I knew, but I didn't know it meant raw.
The one who roars.
The one who rules. Well, okay, I don't know. Look, I don't know. Honestly, look, I don't know about that. I mean, he certainly roared at me, sometimes very silently, making me grow, forcing me to re-examine myself, to build an inner life that was strong enough to transform his roar into a whisper, into the real thing that was coming out of him. And it was love, unconditional love for people that studied with him. The one who rose, okay.
Thank you, Stuart.
You know, look, you know, well, everybody has their interpretations. You give the name Rudra to 50 different people, you're going to get 50 different definitions. So I don't know about that. All I know is just the word Rudra just opens my heart, because Rudy was the person who did give me my life. And I don't have to take it any further than that. I'm not interested in anything further than that. His name, Swami Rujananda, Rudy, it just opens my heart. Rudra, it opens my heart. Cuts through so much bullshit inside me that I can be nothing but grateful for, the word Rudra and what it means in my life. Other than that, I don't know. It could be raw, it could be whisper, it could be, whatever, I always knew Rudra was a very, very ancient, primitive form of Shiva. And Shiva was the creation and the destruction of the universe. It was all of time and all of change and all of everything that is manifest in this world is a product of Shiva. And Rudra was the earliest manifestation of that in Hinduism. When they talk about Shiva as death and rebirth, what does that mean? It means surrender, letting go, and resurrecting oneself. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, what else do you say that you do to outside of the meditation practice that's consistent to support the level of consistent transcendence we're talking about?
I mean, do I have to go through my whole life telling you about all the things I've done?
No, just like what you would recommend that really highlight, supportive measures outside of the practice itself.
Love your family unconditionally. Love the food you eat. Recognize that everything around you is sacred. Not just pictures of Rudy and Nityananda, not just this meditation class, everything around you is sacred. And you're recognizing that, suddenly transforms you into a person who can see what's real in this world and what's an illusion. It's true, everything. Whatever you touch, whatever you eat, whatever you smell, wherever you go, you're driving in a car, you're walking on the street, whatever, you're in an airplane, everything is sacred. Everything is a manifestation of God's energy. And we so easily forget this. We have to develop our own self-importance and who we think we are. And we lose contact with the very nature of creation around us. Genesis isn't something that happened a billion years ago. It's something that's happening right now. All of the universe is being created around us at this moment, which makes your work sacred, your family sacred, your partners, your whatever, sacred. The food you eat is sacred. The breath that you breathe is sacred. So it's more than just pictures of Rudy and Nityananda. People have pictures of me, and yes, that's sacred too. But it's taking it to another step. That your very life, your activity, everything you do in your life is sacred. And this can't be something that you just compose in your head, it's got to become a living reality. Understand, you have to build an inner life, that is strong enough to where you can live that way. You see the world that way. You live in the world that way. To me, look, I used to have huge situations on my shoulders. Every one of them had to do with me running, ashrams, spiritual situations, having huge financial burdens on my head all the time, and only for one reason. It was to run ashrams. It was to run, spiritual centers like the one in New York. And I never thought about it. I just did it. And then, life simplified itself. It's much simpler now. I've been through all the other stuff. I don't have to do that anymore. So it's become much simpler. And I like that, the simplicity of it. But I've been through the other. I've gone through the hurricane, I've been through, that whole thing. I had it on my shoulders. I had to support it. And it was part of my learning process. And that was no more important than just the food that I eat being sacred, the breath that I take being sacred, the people that I interact with are sacred. I remember I was once standing with Rudy, and he said the thing that motivates him more than anything was seeing Swami Nityananda go to sleep on a potato sack. And he said, I want my life to become that simple. And Rudy led a very complicated life. In order to do his life, he had to raw, literally. Please, everyone, try and sit still. I know the class is a little long today, but try and sit still. If you're moving, it disrupts the whole flow of the energy. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Okay, if there are no more questions, then there'll be meditation on Wednesday. God bless you all. And as I keep saying at the end of every class, I feel like a broken record, but I'm very grateful to be part of this and to be, with every single person that's here. And, I'm so grateful to you all simply because your presence here is making me work so deep on myself that I think after every class, I become a different person. So God bless you all and thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're different too because of you, Stuart. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.